Good evening. Welcome to the June 15th regular City Council meeting. We'll begin with the Pledge of Allegiance, led by Councilmember Goodloe.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Will the clerk call the roll?
Beauchamp?
Here.
Goodloe?
Here.
Elliott?
Here.
Miller?
Here.
Palmer?
Here.
Thompson?
Here.
And Councilmember Lillquist has an excused absence. We will move on to proclamations. This is page 7 in the packet. This is the Juneteenth Day observance, and Councilmember Palmer.
Okay. Proclamation on Juneteenth Day of Observance 2026. Whereas Juneteenth became the latest official federal holiday in the United States in 2021, and whereas over 2 years after Abraham Lincoln declared all enslaved persons free, Union Army troops marched to Galveston, Texas to enforce the Emancipation Proclamation and free the last enslaved Black Americans in this country. Whereas this newly freed men, women, and children celebrated their long overdue emancipation on June 19th, 1865, establishing what continues to be an annual day of celebration for all Americans. Whereas Juneteenth is a day to celebrate the power and resilience of Black Americans who have endured generations of oppression in their ongoing journey toward equal justice, equal dignity, equal rights, and equal opportunity in America. And whereas we commemorate Juneteenth, a chance to celebrate human freedom, to reflect on the grievous and ongoing levels of slavery, really rededicate ourselves to rooting out systemic racism, honor the rich history of the Black community in Ellensburg, and whereas a citywide coalition consisting of the Kittitas County Historic Museum, CW Library, and associate campus programs, Ellensburg Downtown Associations, representatives of the City Council, and the Access Advocacy, Equity, and Engagement Commission have collaborated and planned a citywide Juneteenth celebration on June 19th for residents and visitors of our city. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the mayor of the city of Ellensburg does hereby proclaim June 19, 2026 as Juneteenth Day of observance, and urges the city and county residents to attend in this important countywide celebration. Signed the 15th day of June 2026.
Thank you.
Can I interject a little factoid?
Yes.
The first Black person to move to Ellensburg and establish residence in our city was at the first Juneteenth celebration when in Galveston, Texas. And I always have thought that was pretty cool.
Thank you. No awards or recognitions. We move to approval of the agenda, but before we go to the agenda, does anybody in the audience or any member of council wish to move anything from the consent agenda into the regular agenda? Okay, so we are at approval of the agenda. So a motion to approve the agenda first, please.
Motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Second.
Motion
Mayor-
second to approve the agenda as presented. Is there discussion?
Yes, I am asking to remove item 6A to a future council meeting.
Can we get a second? So we have a motion second to amend the agenda by removing item 6A from today's agenda. It'll be addressed in the future. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. This is the amendment.
Aye.
Aye.
I too will vote aye. Opposed? That motion passes. We now have an amended agenda. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And that motion passes. Let me get my stuff together here. Okay, since we aren't going to do 6A, 6B, page 214 in the packet. This is a program update.
Are you going to do the consent agenda?
I did that again. I need a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I too will vote aye. Opposed? Okay, that motion passes. Now we're to 6B. You got me that time.
Good job. Good job, Beth.
All right, this is page 214 in the packet. This is a program update from Habitat for Humanity, serving Seattle, King, and Kittitas counties. This is an opportunity for public comment. And for members of the audience, we will, basically everything till the end of the meeting is an opportunity for public comment.
All right. Good evening, everyone.
I'm Stephanie Bowman with Habitat for Humanity, and I'm the area director, and I'm here to talk with you about two different programs that we are just giving you an update on and what we'll be working on going forward. There we go. This story that I'm going to share with you briefly is a story about Ruthie. Ruthie had a home built in 1886, and her home has been a hodgepodge of different add-ons over the last 100 years. And she loves this porch. This porch is a place where she and her family spend a lot of time. Her grandson in particular loves to bring things home from all over, and they would recreate on this porch. In 2025, she applied for our program after hearing about it from a friend of hers in the community, that we come and we do repairs for free for homeowners. I did say that correct. It is for free. These are not loans. They are not grants to the homeowners. They are 100% no cost to them. These repairs change lives. And in this case, in Ruthie's case, it changed the trajectory of her ability to spend time with her family members in one of the places that they love the most. They completely gutted the porch, rebuilt the whole thing. It wraps around the house, and then also now it's safe to walk down and through. There was a giant hole that was starting to rot out in the middle. So they're very happy to have this. We do projects that range from everything from roofs to full bathrooms, kitchens, lots of grab bars, lots of lighting. We also do things as small as provide fire prevention, blankets, alarms. Radon mitigation is one that we're actually currently working on. That one's a very expensive one. And these programs are brought to us by several different ways. Before I get to that part, I'll talk a little bit about what we have done with this program. We started a home repair program in 2021. Not every habitat has one, so it all depends on the funding that we receive, usually through many different types of state and federal grants. But in the last year, we have served over 35 households. We have an additional 14 homeowners that were funded for 2026 for the entire county. And then we're projected to serve another 20 in the future year from that, from 27 to 28. And stop me if you have any questions, because it's a very lengthy program, but I'm trying to condense all the information. This was our funding at a glance from last year. So we had, and this is for both counties, it's not just for ours, so Kittitas and King. We were able to allocate up to 4 critical home repairs. That's up to $50,000. Those usually are roofs, or like I said, a roof and a bathroom combination. We also have quite a few single veterans that we've supported, 6 in this last year. This is what 35 homes looks like in repairs. A lot of these are single individuals that own their homes and that have no way of paying for these repairs. So we see a lot of, in the application process, is family or households that they understand that they don't have any money for a repair, so they continue to let the repair just get worse and worse and worse. And then finally, we're brought into the fold, and then we are able to solve some of those problems. We do have criteria on which homeowners can be part of our program. They do have to have homeowners insurance. They do have to be under 80% AMI for the household income, and they do have to have enough equity to support the repair that we're going to put onto the home. Meaning, if the home is in too bad of a disrepair, we're not able to make a large change to that. These acronyms, I can tell you what each one of them mean if you are interested, but they are in essentially state and federal funding through Commerce and the Housing Trust Fund that allow for specific for community revitalization and home repairs. United Way is exceptional from that. That's from Central Washington United Way, and we just received that funding less than 3 weeks ago, and so we will be using that to support a veteran's home repair. This one in particular, they already had a home repair, but they needed an additional, and so that funding will go towards that. Before I move on to the next section of the update, did you have any questions for me about that program? What I would ask before I move on is that if anyone in the audience or anyone that is listening today knows of a household that may need that type of repair, we would ask for them to apply. We are currently seeking more funding in order to support this. We have found that we have quite a large need in Ellensburg, but we would like to be able to take the funding that we receive for the whole county and spread that out further into the further parts of the county. And that is the only way we're going to be able to do that is through outreach and letting people know about the program. Our Veterans Home Down Payment Assistance Program is brand new. This is a reusable program. It was gifted to us by a private foundation. They donated quite a large sum of money, and this money is only set aside for veterans. This allows veterans to purchase a home, even with our homes at sometimes around $250,000, are still out of reach for those living off of veteran benefits. So this will provide that gap, almost like a third mortgage or a third silent. And at it is due zero interest. It is due back only on the sell back to Habitat or the transfer. So with our Habitat program, when you have a mortgage, you can pay off your mortgage and you can will it to the next generation. When that transfer takes place, that benefit will be owed back. But the other nice thing about this is that veterans also don't have to use their down payment, their veterans benefit on purchasing a Habitat home anymore. They can save that benefit, which allows them to use it when they want to purchase a home on the open market. Any questions on that? No. And again, what we're looking for is partnership, avocation of our programs, and just being able to continue this great work that we're doing. If you don't have any questions, that's all I have for you today.
Thank you. Council, any questions? Thank you. Anybody in the audience wish to speak on this subject? Thank you.
Thank you.
Item 6C is a 2026 summary water conservation campaign presentation. Again, there will be an opportunity for comment. This is page 218 in the packet.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Council. My name is Rebecca Springer, the city's Water Resource Manager. I'm here to introduce our 2026 Voluntary Summer Water Conservation Campaign. Excellent. Many of you probably recognize this teacup diagram, which shows the relationship between the reservoirs and the stream flow, how it's connected within the Yakima Basin. You'll notice that they look quite full, which is a really welcome sight in the fourth year of drought. We also have a very important element of our water supply, which is not shown on that teacup diagram. So that's our Cascade Snowpack savings account, if you will. It's not pictured on that teacup diagram, but it's very important to our water supply, surface water supply, especially during the season. Our snowpack as of 2026 stands at approximately 36% of normal. So just a quick side on water demand. This is surface water demand versus supply. And that snowpack is integral in meeting the basin's summer surface water demands, even when those reservoirs are near full, which thankfully at the moment they are near full. As you can see, we have approximately 2.6 million acre feet per year of allocated water resources within the entire basin. Reservoir storage accounts for approximately 1.1 million acre feet, which leaves 1.5 million acre feet remaining that relies on that snowpack. As many of you know, we also rely on 11 groundwater wells for our municipal water supply, which is, has been beneficial, especially during surface water shortages. That said, the basin is in our fourth year consecutively of drought, which takes a toll on farmers, on tribes, on fish, and on other municipalities. Many of our neighboring municipalities do rely on surface water to meet their basic everyday needs. It's important for the city to be good neighbors, and voluntary actions that we can take can help to ease the burden of others. Just taking a look at our pumping report. This is the 13-month pumping report that you're probably familiar with. As you can see, there's a notable increase in pumping during the summer months, so we are pumping 2 to 3 times more municipal water supply during the summer, which predominantly accounts for irrigation. So in response to support the basin and conservation efforts and to be good neighbors to other communities and the entire basin, Water Resources has developed a voluntary summer outreach campaign with several goals. The predominant goal to support the basin just by being a good partner and a good neighbor. We're aiming to reduce peak seasonal water demand by 10%. We're aiming to increase public awareness of conservation practices, drive participation in these conservation programs, and strengthen some of that community engagement. This gets a little bit small there, but core themes, we're looking at save water and save money. If you're reducing your water consumption, you're ultimately saving on your water bill. We're going to focus on watering wisely in the summer, and this campaign, Our Lawn is Going Blonde, that is something that several other municipalities in this and other states have used to focus on keeping lawns dormant, not dead, and conserving water. Some of those behavioral calls to action would be joining our Blonde Lawn initiative and watering in wise ways, fixing leaks using efficient fixtures, and we're seeking to align with both state and local regulations, so the 2026 Drought Emergency Declaration, and also the initiatives of Kittitas County and the Yakima Basin Integrated Plan Municipal Subgroup. So again, we are proposing, it's voluntary, Let Your Lawn Go Blonde pledge. So effectively, residents could sign up beginning in June. City Hall lawn right out front will set the example with a unified water reduction goal of 10%. So folks who voluntarily sign up to pledge would receive a yard sign, and then pledgers who reach the goal can be entered into a drawing for a prize. So this is going to be paired with outreach campaign with weekly messaging and potentially farmers market or park booth outreach as well. And this is something that we've been discussing about collaborating with both the county and the Conservation District. So just a little example of the Let Your Lawn Go Blonde yard sign with a QR code on how to learn more. And the weekly messaging campaign will focus on one theme per month and one messaging element per week for Water Conservation Wednesdays, such as cut back on your outdoor use, how you can tune up your system, design a low water yard, and how to water smart. This is an example of the first month of outreach that incorporates those 4 weekly elements in the Save Water this summer. We have ongoing monthly themes, so we can start out with the first one that you just saw. Moving on to priority plants. What about these newly installed plants? What about trees? How do we choose what to water while still conserving and still maintaining the health? And then finally, gearing up for fall planting, which works with the Conservation District to introduce Heritage Gardens program and educate about drought-tolerant landscaping and xeriscaping options. So City Hall Lawn is proposing to go blonde out front and working on watering cessation or reduction at some of our swales. The park facilities are also aiming for that same watering reduction goal of 10%, with priority watering focusing on tourism-generating facilities, youth soccer fields for safety, and maintaining the health of the trees in our urban canopy. Just to note, maintaining water features, we will also maintain water features that are benefiting the entire community and offering a place for families to come and stay cool in the weather. So Unity Park offering free recreation during those hot months. And underneath that bar, it says watering efficiently using timers. So again, community engagement with the pledge, outreach via weekly messaging, and partnerships with other municipalities, possibly, if they're interested, and the Conservation District and our county. That's all I have for you today. Any questions?
Thank you. Any questions?
I have a question. On the 10% goal, on a per customer basis, do you measure that against the historical use during this period? Like last year's
That's the proposal, to look at their water bill, provided they've had one for at least a consecutive year.
And it's seasonal peak, not annual volume, right?
Correct.
Oh, June, July, August, basically.
Yeah, so if we're comparing, say if they're signing up in June and we're hitting the first month for July to August, we would look at their replicate bill from the previous.
Great, thank you.
You bet.
Any further questions? Any questions or comments from the audience? Hearing none, thank you. Thank you for the presentation. We'll move on to item 7, which is public comment on non-agenda items. So when you're called to speak, please introduce yourself, state whether you're a resident of the city, county, or otherwise, and whether you are speaking for yourself, a group, or both. Comments need to be concerning things that the city council has control and which concern the city. No conversation regarding any ballot measure, pro or against, or any candidate for office. And we dedicate 3 minutes per speaker, and we'll be fairly strict on that. And at 30 minutes, we cut off, and the city council needs to have a conversation about extending that time frame. And please don't disrupt the orderly conduct of the meeting. So first we have Deborah Wall, and you'll need to introduce the subject that you wish to speak on when you step up to the microphone.
Yeah, I didn't mean to sign myself. That's a Catherine Cottage. Or Catherine.
Okay. Dale McPherson?
Sorry.
Oh, all good. Saying Rosenberg? Did you want to make?
For annexation.
Oh, this is annexation? We'll catch you on an agenda item. Your name's on something that's before that agenda item. And Mr. Kelleher, and you've signed up to talk about the pool.
He's hooked on a chair.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Pat Kelleher, Ellensburg. I'm here to speak on pool first. Got an old JV football injury that flares up now and then. But it gives me opportunity to, go to the pool. I've been going to the pool. And one of the things going to the pool, you got to enter and exit 12 doors for a normal pool evolution. 12 doors. Now, of course, maybe it was misdesigned 47 years ago. If you're handicapped and use a handicap door, it's down to 10 doors. You can come up the ramp and come through there and get through those doors. And it's interesting seeing other people with needs, working those doors. Everybody's got a method to work those doors, sometimes people help or you work around the corner. But going to the pool, that building's in great shape. It's in great shape. Stewardship has been poor. Urinal still doesn't work 4 years later. It's not a building design thing. Light fixtures. There's updated light, LED lights. I mean, everything's outdated. The tube lights on the upper thing are just kind of thrown in there. There's light bulbs missing. There's door handles that could be ADA adapted, make it nice. But as to the physical structure, I mean, the shingles look terrible, but that thing's solid. Now, going to the pool, now we're on this big, hey, what do you want in the future? Do you want a lap swim? You want a new pool? Where's it going to be? This is what we heard. Well, if you read the pros, comments, that's not what was saying. It was more, hey, we want a pool that works. They didn't want a Taj Mahal. And there's no funding behind this dream thing, so it's like taking a kid to the ice cream shop and, hey, it's just not one ice cream cone. Hell, you can get the whole thing. How many barrels you want? You want a tub of each flavor? Take home? I mean, the funding on this is just horrendous on a new pool. The spending that you've paid over a fully capitalized pool, you had a $1 million bond for maintenance. Recently, you had a couple $100,000. It's been a good investment. It's a good pool. It just needs some stewardship. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else in the audience who wishes to speak on a non-agenda item? And we have nobody signed up electronically, so we will move on to item 8A, which requires a public hearing, so you're going to get a couple scripts. The purpose of this public hearing is to consider adopting ordinance 4990, which is in regards to the amendments to the development regulations in city code. The public hearing is now open, and we ask for your cooperation in the following procedure. Everyone will be given an opportunity to be heard. We are recording the proceedings. If you wish to participate in the hearing virtually, you must raise your virtual hand or press star 9 if you're on the phone. When you approach or when you're recognized, please state your name and address, indicate whether you are speaking for yourself individually, spokesperson for a group, or both. Speak slowly and clearly. Only one person will be allowed to speak at a time. Your testimony must only address the matter under consideration in this hearing. Any questions of staff are to be directed through the council. Each person will have the opportunity to address the council for an initial period not to exceed 5 minutes. If more time is needed, it will be made available after everyone has had an opportunity to speak. Before we hear from the audience, is there a staff report?
There is. Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, Council. Mark Rudd, Associate Planner with the Community Development Department. What you have before you for Agenda Item 8A are June 2026 Development Regulations Amendments. So these are consolidated amendments to Titles 3 and 15 of the Ellensburg City Code. Those were drafted for the Planning Commission's consideration as part of a mid-year slate of amendments that was part of the annual work program for this year. The draft includes compliance with a number of state laws that either take effect mid-year this year or within the next year or two that were easy enough for us to kind of consolidate in at the same time. And again, we're part of the same work program. They also involve revising the applicability of certain landmarks and mural review sections or elements of those different ordinances. They also help to forward some additional housing goals by making some minor changes to both manufactured homes and accessory dwelling units. And they help to further clarify some existing application procedures. All of these are being forwarded by city staff or were forwarded by staff to the Planning Commission for consideration. Kind of like I showed last year, I want to clarify at this point that there are no amendments at this time to the zoning map, comprehensive plan, future land use map, anything regarding variances, criteria for annexations, things like that. So where we would mostly see items of potential public controversy, we're not touching kind of any of those elements as part of this. So just to dive in a little bit, for statutory compliance, there's a number of laws that have recently preempted state or local development regulations. There's one from several years ago. It's a very narrow preemption on the extent to which we can regulate the specific siting on a lot of manufactured housing. And so we're incorporating that element into our manufactured home ordinance. Probably the biggest one that required the most work as part of this ordinance is what has been shortened typically to the new housing and existing buildings statute. If someone wants to develop additional housing units within a building that already exists without changing the envelope, so without adding new footprint, adding any height, there's a lot of elements that the city, as a code city, can no longer regulate. First of all, we have to allow actually greater density than the base zone would allow at a maximum by a minimum of 50% additional. We can't require additional parking for that housing or a transportation concurrency study, can't enforce certain aspects of the building and energy codes, which is why we're incorporating elements of Title III into this as well. We can't enforce new exterior design requirements for the work that would just be inside. We also cannot explicitly prohibit ground floor dwellings unless we have a locally designated what the statute calls major transportation corridors, major pedestrian corridors. That should read, my apologies. And SEPA, we also cannot require SEPA review for projects like that based on some formal guidance we got from both the State Department of Ecology and Commerce on one of the clauses of that. So a lot of this was really targeted to a lot of very specific sections of our code to make sure that we were just addressing those preemptions, the things we can no longer regulate. Same thing for exterior building cladding materials. The statute says that if an exterior building cladding material is allowed, could be installed by building code, that the city cannot prohibit that specific material or require it on an exterior facade, except for properties that are located in a historic district or on a landmarks register, where you can still have the certificate of appropriateness process. So again, to try to hit all of that, we have just narrowly adopted those elements as well. There were some preemptions put into the landmarks designation statute. So they recently adopted that owner's consent is required. Believe it or not, in some jurisdictions, they hadn't incorporated that. We actually already had, but they also newly included specific carve-outs to owner's consent. If a property is in a historic district, or if the building's 125 plus years old and the local commission for landmarks review verifies that. So again, specifically adding those narrow exceptions. Child care centers, this one's actually not due for adoption, I believe, until next year, but it required a single line item change to a couple blocks within our land use table. Basically, we have to permit child care centers as of right in every zone except for industrial and open space zones. And so we needed to make changes in our residential zones to permit what we call daycare 2 facilities, which are slightly larger, but those would now be permitted as of right in our residential zones as well. There was also some amendments fairly recently to the affordable housing statute. So whenever affordable housing is developed under a local density bonus program, there is a minimum affordability term of 50 years. Our local ordinance still said 25. We had already, in practice, gone by what the state law said for these types of projects, but we're just kind of cleaning that up on the local code side to make sure that it duly conforms. There's also a really wonky one on different types of projects where they would apply exterior insulation to a building to either meet what's called passive house requirements or to do a residential retrofit. And in essence, we have to allow folks to exceed the minimum setback requirement or exceed the maximum height requirement by up to 8 inches if they're doing these types of materials. So again, very narrow, very specifically addressed in one of the sections of our code. And similarly for roof-mounted solar energy panels, we have to permit those up to 4 feet above a max building height. There are other things for broad statutory compliance, not simply preemption, but in doing some diligence on collection of project permit application fees, we found that the city has included with this ordinance adopted enough agreements, policies and regulations to allow us to collect the full payment at the time that we take in the application. There was a recent statute passed that said that we could effectively only take in 80% at the time that it came in, and that if we met our timelines procedurally under Local Project Review Act, as we've locally adopted, then we could claim the rest, unless you do X, Y, Z. And it turns out we've already done X, Y, Z. So we did our homework and incorporated that into the ordinance here. Similarly, for permit reporting requirements, we were a little overzealous on that, or not actually subject to that statute. So we are removing that aspect of our local code as well. There are also a number of statutory SEPA exemptions that were not explicitly mentioned in code, so projects that don't require submission of a SEPA checklist, a determination by local staff as listed here. And so we wanted to make sure that we were duly referencing those to make sure we're conforming with that aspect of state law. Are there any questions on those before I jump to some of the voluntary things?
I don't know if cut me off if, thanks, Mark. Cut me off if I'm off. I was making notes as you were talking, so I lost track. I had a couple of questions on some of the, I get that this is legislative mandate, but on the existing housing and existing building component, I would assume that as we're adding density, the fire code still overrides any other. I mean, if there's a fire or safety issue, that would effectively limit our development density. Is that fair to say?
It wouldn't limit the density per se. They would just need to meet whatever fire code requirements would be commensurate with that density.
If it was possible.
Yeah.
And if it's not, then
Yeah, I mean, but it's just that we can't prohibit that density from a land use standpoint based on the number of units per
Right.
acre or equivalent.
Got it, thanks. On the last one, I don't know if you went through this, the idea of revisiting the residential on ground floor, the last item in the previous reviews
Yes.
section. Does that, it looks to me like there's sort of a nexus there between this housing and existing buildings, which effectively prohibits us from restricting ground floor residential, right, in existing buildings. Is that kind of the model that we anticipate using for new development that?
We can get into that a little bit if there are further questions on that, but I believe that's probably the model that we would use. Kind of the question that came up is specifically where that's happening, as well as a number of members of the Planning Commission are well-versed in day-to-day development, and so they know what the pro formas look like for these, trying to finance them, and had some more in-the-weeds.
Yeah, thank you. I
recommendations
thought
there.
they were kind of connected in some
So
way.
procedurally, I'm going to stick back to the script because I can see the attorney's getting twitchy.
Oh, I'm sorry, this is public.
So, go ahead.
Sorry.
We don't want a twitchy attorney. Murals and landmarks. These were forwarded by staff. There are elements of review that overlap between projects that are involve murals and are located on landmarks, registered properties, or in historic districts. The organization has always been a little clunky, so the intent here was to try to align the criteria review with the commission and the project that it is most applicable to for those. The end result of that is that we would clarify what's already an existing practice in code based on how it's written, that where there is an existing painted surface within our historic districts, that murals, newly proposed murals on those existing painted surfaces do not require a certificate of appropriateness. In doing that, we also wanted to clarify that if someone wanted to propose new murals on an unpainted surface, that they would still need that certificate of appropriateness. We would also exempt the replacement of sign faces from that certificate of appropriateness process, which requires public notice and hearing, and which are universally approved without controversy and end up just taking up a lot of commission time. On housing, in addition to the kind of narrow preemptions on manufactured homes, we would slightly revise what's currently in code. In essence, it would permit any HUD-approved structure to be cited either as a single-family home where they meet the design requirements that we still have specified, would need to be at least 2 sections, et cetera, or as a single unit as well in a manufactured home park. It just clarifies a little bit of vagueness that's in our code for that. And then accessory dwelling unit amendments really apply to detached accessory dwelling units, particularly those that would be inside or rear yards, principally rear yards. So just to allow a little more flexibility closer to a rear property line or closer to a main structure if they meet fire code, without sacrificing any other element of required open space. Are there any questions on those elements? Finally, code cleanup. There's just further reconciliation of some of the conflicting and redundant provisions that we had in there. Part of this is honestly cleaning up some of the cleanup that we did at the end of last year, just hitting a couple of things that fell through the cracks as we did a more comprehensive amendment with that. There's no substantive changes as part of that package to any permitted land uses across the city. So we did submit this ordinance per statute to the Department of Commerce for their 60-day notice and comment period. They got back to us on June 4th, and they recommended that we get a little more particular in referencing the specific actions we've taken in order to collect those full project permit fees. Staff didn't really see a clean way to do that within the text of the Ellensburg City Code itself, but they are included into paragraph 2 of the recitals of the ordinance that is adopting these, just to cross our T's, dot our I's. A SEPA DNS was issued for this on May 7th, 2026. We received no public comments from the notice that was associated with that. Staff did receive feedback from the Department of Archaeology and Historic Preservation about brick and masonry permeability. We received that just before the Planning Commission meeting and had an on-the-dais amendment that was incorporated into the Planning Commission's package that came before you today. They met on May 28th and included that and unanimously moved to forward these recommended changes to you guys. They also had an advisory, again, on the storefront street that Councilor Miller has already pointed out that I'm happy to address as well. There's a table of amendments that was included in the packet as Exhibit A, and the full amendments are in the draft ordinance 4990. And with that, staff recommend that council move to approve the first reading of that ordinance, amending Ellensburg City Code Titles 3 and 15 as presented. And with that, happy to address any lingering questions.
After we move on.
Yes.
So the floor is open to testimony from the public. Does anybody in the audience wish to make comments on this matter? I'll do the audience in the room first. Anybody virtually? Nobody virtually. So we don't need to go through that. So staff doesn't have anything to add. Council, do you have any questions of staff or the public? You already got yours in.
Good, I'm out of order. I'm out of order, but I'm good.
Thank you. The public testimony, this portion of this hearing is now closed. Council may begin its discussion and deliberation in this matter. Please note that after beginning deliberations, a council member has an additional question of staff. We would reopen the public hearing portion and receive that information and then reclose it. Council.
Mr. Mayor, I move to conduct the move to approve the first reading of ordinance 4990, amending Ellensburg City Code Titles 3 and 15 as proposed.
Second.
We have a motion second to conduct first reading of ordinance 4990, which would amend the city codes Titles 3 and 15 as proposed. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I too will vote aye. Opposed? That motion passes.
An ordinance relating to regulating and development within the city of Ellensburg, amending Titles 3 and 15 as listed in the ordinance.
And I am going to get organized here before I go too far, because we got two public hearings. Okay, second public hearing, so picked a good night to come. The purpose of the public hearing is to consider adopting the city's six-year transportation improvement plan, which would be for years 2027 through 2032. The public hearing is now open, and we ask for your cooperation in the same procedure as before. Everybody will be given an opportunity to be heard. We are recording the proceedings. If you wish to participate electronically, virtual hand, or press star 9 on your phone, if that's virtually, or just raise your hand here. And then if you do, you will state your name, address, indicate whether you're speaking for yourself individually, group, or both. Speak slowly and clearly. Only one person will be allowed to speak at a time. And again, the testimony must only address the matter under which is under consideration in this hearing. Questions of staff are to be directed through the council, and you will have 5 minutes initially, and if we need more time at the end, we will make that available after everybody has had an opportunity. So before we hear from the audience, is there a staff report?
Yes. Good evening, Mr. Mayor and members of City Council. My name is Josh Mattson, Assistant City Engineer in the Public Works Department. This evening, staff is providing an annual complete streets and traffic safety update. The city is also required by law to annually update its six-year transportation improvement plan, also known as the TIP, which is adopted by council through a resolution. The staff report is in 3 parts. First is the complete streets update with 2025 completed work and 2026 planned work as shown on the TIP. Second part is a presentation of the 2027 to 2032 six-year TIP, including a summary of various capital improvement project categories. Finally, we'll share an update on traffic safety data for the city. Starting off with our annual Complete Streets update, the city adopted a Complete Streets ordinance back in 2016. The purpose is to ensure that planning for construction of all city transportation improvement projects account for all users, including active transportation for those of all ages and abilities, transit, motorists, emergency responders, and freight. Included in this slide is a list of transportation projects completed in 2025, all of which included complete streets elements such as sidewalk extensions, bike lanes, traffic signal improvements, street surfacing restoration, and ADA upgrades. This chart depicts the funding sources for last year's transportation projects. From the chart, you can see Ellensburg is heavily dependent on securing grant funding for transportation capital improvement projects, accounting for about 75% of the total cost for completed projects last year. The city is very proactive in securing funds from many different sources, including federal transportation alternatives funding, distressed county sales and use tax grants, federal surface transportation block grants, federal redistribution allocations, safe routes to school grants, and Transportation Improvement Board grants. As shown on this list of current transportation projects, the city is committed to improvements that include elements for all transportation users. This list for 2026 projects includes street surfacing improvements, corridor beautification, bridge preservation, ADA upgrades, bike lanes, and sidewalks. Several sidewalk and bike route multimodal connection projects are currently in design and planned for future construction. This year, we are completing a grind and asphalt overlay of Canyon Road from Umptanum Road to Mountain View Avenue. 2 non-compliant curb ramps will be upgraded to meet ADA standards. The project will also include improved vehicle detection with vehicle classification and traffic count capabilities at the Mountain View Avenue signalized intersection. This project should be completed by the end of September. Next, we have the Mountain View and Bull Road Willow Street intersection enhancements project, which will help maintain the city's adopted traffic level of service with increased traffic from planned residential development south of this intersection along Bull Road. The project will install a traffic signal with advanced video vehicle detection, protected left turn phasing, flashing yellow left turn arrows, ADA compliant pedestrian crossings, leading pedestrian crossing intervals, and bicycle detection. The project is underway with site improvements already completed and signal poles scheduled to be installed this fall. As with the 2025 funding slide, our current 2026 project list is also heavily dependent on grant funding. City staff was able to secure 1/3 of our 2026 transportation capital improvement costs through grants. We're now moving into the second part of this staff report for the 2027 to 2032 Transportation Improvement Plan. Again, we call this the TIP. Projects proposed on the TIP represent work remaining from previous plans, incorporates projects from the Comprehensive Transportation Plan, the Active Transportation Plan, Transit Development Plan, Transportation Safety Action Plan, and several major maintenance asphalt overlay projects. The adopted TIP may be amended by further resolution by council at any time during the year, should changes be required or additional funding opportunities become available. Council can also add, delete, modify, or move the priority of projects. Projects on this list fit into one of the following categories: annual maintenance projects, street surfacing improvements, multimodal connections, intersection enhancements, street improvements, and public transit improvements. I'm going to now present TIP projects planned for 2027 and a summary of the utilization for the city's Traffic Impact Fee Fund. The 3rd Avenue Paverstone Pathway and Historic Lighting Project is a multimodal project that will replace the existing sidewalk on the north side of 3rd Avenue with a Paverstone Pathway and updated historic 3-globe lighting from Water Street to the historic train depot. The project will restore this sidewalk to its previous glory in the early 1900s and improve pedestrian access to transit, the CBD, and adjacent businesses. About $432,000 in federal funding administered through Quadco, our regional transportation planning organization, and an additional $205,000 of WSDOT grant funds were secured for this project. The Umptanum and Anderson Roundabout project will help maintain the city's adopted traffic level of service and minimize delays at this intersection. This intersection improvements project will help improve access for all modes of transportation to the Winco Foods grocery distribution facility, the city's planned community field house in Rotary Park, and the city's 2 largest recreational parks. Nearly $1.1 million in Washington State Transportation Improvement Board funds were secured for this project, which is also planned for construction in 2027. The Vantage Highway Shared Use Pathway Project will install curb, gutter, sidewalk, and a shared use pathway on University Way and Vantage Highway from Alder Street to the west end of the Gateway 2 project's planned frontage improvements at Vista Road. This street improvement project will provide an active transportation connection to the Radio Hill neighborhood, the Palouse to Cascades Trail, and the Kittitas County Event Center. Nearly $2 million in federal surface transportation block grant funds, you call these STBG funds, administered through Kittitas County, were secured for this project. The planned 2027 TIP project list is also heavily dependent on grant funding. Staff has been able to secure nearly 70% of the cost for transportation and capital improvements scheduled next year from grants. This slide is a summary of planned expenditures on approved TIP projects from the city's Traffic Impact Fee, or TIF fund, for the next 7 years, as shown in the TIP. The city adopted the Traffic Impact Fee ordinance in 2009. All development projects receiving building permits for new development within the city of Ellensburg, but outside of this central commercial district, are required to pay traffic impact fees in an amount and manner set forth in the TIF chapter. Collected TIF funds can only be used for public facility improvements that will reasonably benefit new development. To complete the presentation this evening, staff is sharing an annual traffic safety update in accordance with the adopted 2025 Transportation Safety Action Plan. The 2025 Vision Zero fatality and serious injury commitment was adopted with this plan, with the updated traffic safety, which also consisted of a 50% reduction in roadway fatalities and serious injuries by 2035, with the eventual goal of 0 roadway fatalities and serious injuries. So staff is making a report on our progress towards this goal this evening. The following data from 2019 to 2023 was included in the 2025 safety plan. In this plan, there were 11 total killed or seriously injured crashes. We also call these KSIs. That's the state standard for tracking progress within your safety plan. So of those 11 KSIs in that 5-year period, 10 were seriously injured and 1 fatal crash. So this is data we presented to you last year when you adopted the 2025 Safety Action Plan. So updated analysis covers data from 2020 to 2024. And in this data, there were 12 KSI crashes, 11 serious injuries, and 1 fatal crash. This data is similar to last year's report. Staff plans to provide updated data for 2021 to 2025 next year to further assess if this slight increase is a trend. It's also interesting to note from the 2024 specific KSI data, in Washington State, there's an average of about 10 KSI for 20,000 residents, whereas Ellensburg specifically was showing only 2 KSIs, both of which were serious injuries, no fatal crashes in 2024, and this is a much lower rate, obviously, than the state KSI average from that year. So the TIP, Complete Streets, and Traffic Safety Update have been shared with the Ellensburg Transportation Advisory Committee with an opportunity to provide input. Staff is now recommending adoption of Resolution 2026-12 to approve and adopt the 6-year TIP for 2027 to 2032 as filed with the City Council, and authorize staff to submit listed projects for funding as grant opportunities become available.
Thank you. Floor is open to testimony from the public. Does anybody in the audience wish to make a comment on this matter? Nobody virtually? Council, do you have any questions of staff or the public? Okay, public testimony portion of this hearing is closed. Council may begin its discussion. We reserve the right to reopen if we need to. Motion.
Mr. Mayor, move to adopt Resolution 2026-12, approving TIP for 2027 to 2032, and authorize staff to submit listed projects for funding as grant opportunities become available.
Second.
Motion second to adopt Resolution 2026-12, which approves the traffic improvement plan for 27 through 32, and it authorizes staff to submit listed projects for funding as grant opportunities become available. Discussion.
Just appreciation for staff for continuing the hard pursuit for federal funds, state funds, all those grant funds. Those are not easy. Anybody that's ever been involved with the grant writing process, it's terrible, it's awful, it's boring, it's detailed, and I appreciate the amount of grants that have been pursued by city staff. Thank you for that. It's free money that benefits our neighborhoods, improve our streets, improve our quality of life and the safety for our elderly and children. So thank you.
Any further comments? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I too will vote aye. Opposed? That motion passes. Page 314, we are on to ordinances and resolutions. This is item 9A. This is ordinance 4989. This could be second reading with potential adoption. This would amend city code regarding the fee schedule for public records requests. There will be an opportunity for public comment. Page 314.
Good evening, Council. City Attorney Chris Horner. As stated, it's second reading of ordinance 4989. And this is to remove the Public Records Act fee schedule from city code and establish that it would be set by further resolution of city council. This ordinance would not by itself change the city's Public Records Act fee schedule. That's a separate item on this council's agenda, one of the upcoming resolutions. I would just add that over time, public records requests have become more voluminous and complex, and removing references to the fee schedule from city code would allow further updates to be done more efficiently. And with that, I will stop and turn it over to council for any questions.
Council, any questions from staff? Anybody in the audience wish to speak to this item? Council, can we get a motion?
Mr. Mayor, move to conduct second reading and adoption of ordinance 4989, amending Ellensburg City Code regarding the process for adopting a fee schedule for public records requests.
Second.
We have a motion second to conduct second reading and adoption of ordinance 4989, which would amend the city code regarding fee schedule for public records requests. Any discussion? Hearing none, will the clerk call the roll?
Beauchamp?
Aye.
Goodloe?
Aye.
Miller?
Aye.
Palmer?
Yes.
Thompson?
Yes.
Elliott?
Yes.
An ordinance of the City Council of the City of Ellensburg, Washington, amending the Ellensburg City Code regarding the process for adopting a fee schedule for public records requests.
I think Nancy's gone, so I have room. Okay. Next up, 9B, page 319. This is Resolution 2026-09, which, if approved, would adopt a body-worn camera footage redaction fee. There will be an opportunity for public comment.
Good evening, Council. Chris Horner, City Attorney again. You've got Resolution 2026-09 in front of you to adopt a body-worn camera footage and redaction fee policy for the City of Ellensburg. This specifically applies to the Ellensburg Police Department. In 2021, the Police Department implemented a body-worn camera program where officers have cameras on them when they go out and respond to scenes. Those cameras collect footage, quite a large number of footage, and those recordings are frequently the subject of public records requests. The police department receives approximately 1,400 public records requests each year. Not all of those are for recordings from the body-worn cameras, but a lot of those requests are. It takes staff at the police department a lot of time to go through the recordings to determine what can be released to the public and what cannot. Often the staff needs to look at the whole section of footage to determine even if just a small portion of it can be released. State statute allows the city to charge for fees for producing and redacting those recordings. Currently, the city does not. The study that the city of Ellensburg has prepared is based on one done by the City of Seattle Police Department. That City of Seattle Police Department body-worn camera fee study is the model that most jurisdictions in the state use. Whether they cite to the City of Seattle study or not, that's the model. And it provides for if you're just redacting a small portion of the footage, just blurring out a couple of faces, if you have to redact the whole image on the screen, it takes staff different amounts of time to prepare those redactions. We base the fee study, or the fee would be about 75 cents a minute, and that's based on law enforcement records clerk time to prepare, review, and redact those videos. And so Resolution 2026-09 would adopt that body-worn camera redaction study, establish a fee, and then that would be, that's what this resolution does. The next resolution would be a more general records fee schedule, and that would include this body-worn camera. But that would be the next agenda item for the full comprehensive fee schedule.
Council, questions of staff?
Just curious, either on the Seattle study or even for our processes, you mentioned there was 1,400 public requests last year associated with that. I'm just trying to equate really quick. If they're all asking for a 5-minute video, that's a lot of time and money associated with this. Possibly more than the time available for a records clerk. At any point, is there a concern that we may have to add additional staffing to be able to support the amount of public requests based upon this video redaction policy?
I don't know if I'm the best person to answer that question, but I would say that the police department has recently implemented a new redaction software called Axon that should be making redactions more efficient. We've also recently purchased the Public Records Act software, Just FOIA, to help with responding to requests. And so the hope is those software implementation plus this fee schedule will help a lot with the burden, and I think we'll just see where we're at. And I don't know if city manager has further comment.
Sure, and it's not just one FTE that's responsive to our records request. We have a whole front office staff, so 4 to 5 folks that are working on this.
And I guess I would just add, we get about 1,500 at Kitcom, and I have 2 people who do this, and they spend a considerable amount of time on the audio files. We don't have video, obviously. Okay, any further questions of staff?
Yeah, quick question, just to make sure I'm reading this correctly. This is 75 cents per minute of the clerk's time, not 75 cents per minute of footage. Is the time spent? Is that correct?
Right, it's staff time spent preparing the footage, correct.
Okay. And then when somebody makes a request, are they given an estimate ahead of time, or do they get sticker shock later?
They are supposed to be given an estimate up front, and so they can make their decisions accordingly.
Okay. And then they're told at the same time that it may change. This is purely an estimate for retrieving.
Right, exactly. If staff runs into unforeseen obstacles, then the estimate may change, but the expectation is there'll be good communication to the extent possible between the city and the requester, so there is no sticker shock.
Okay, so an individual then would get an estimate, and then once the clerk gets into the process, maybe they realize, hey, this is a bigger request than the initial estimate. It would be informing the requester that here's this change in the cost.
That's best practice, exactly.
Okay, perfect, thank you.
I had a question on the sequence on the fee. So I get everything you just described. So when is the payment required? At time of receipt?
It depends on the size of the request. There is an option for the city to request a deposit up front. If we get a massive request and we know this is going to be extremely costly, we can say we need 10% upfront, and here's the estimate for the rest of the charge. If it's not one of those situations, the fee would just be due at the end.
I think this line of questioning is probably more relevant to the next resolution. This is about the body-worn camera. The next one is going to encompass all and the fee structure and when we charge
And
people.
it probably applies to both, but in this situation, given the potential amount, is there an obligation on the part of the individual requesting? I mean, if they don't show up to collect their information, but we've spent thousands of dollars creating it, is there an ability to charge them for that?
I'm sorry, would you mind rephrasing that question?
Well, I can wait for the next one if it's better.
I know where this is going. We have a 220,000-page public records request outstanding at Kitcom, and we didn't have a deposit, so we're working on it in installments, and you can bill them for the installments. If you don't have a fee up front, it encourages people who look at the public records request as a way to maybe not do things constructively, to file massive public records requests and bind up government and drive up the cost.
Oh, I get that. I was just trying to get a handle on the obligation of the applicant. This is a contract effectively between the city and the applicant. In some form, they're obligating city resources to their request.
It's a bill.
Right.
Like a parking violation or something, if they don't pay it, then is it a
I
bad
wouldn't
debt?
say it's a contract. There are situations where there could be a contract between the city and the requester, but that's different than this body-worn camera situation. It's more of this is a small opportunity for the city to recoup some of its costs, and depending on the size of the request, the city can structure the invoice to accordingly communicate with the requester.
Pay as you go. Yeah, deposit, pay as you go. Got it. Thanks.
But if they don't show up, they don't pay.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
Does the public wish to comment? This is the body-worn camera footage only. We're not talking about public records requests generically. Anybody online? Council?
Mr. Mayor, I move to conduct second reading and adoption of
This is
ordinance.
just Resolution 2026-09.
Oh, am I on the wrong thing? Sorry, I can't do it. I don't have it in front of me.
I know, you lose yourself in this 600-page
Okay.
agenda report. So what we're looking for is a motion to approve Resolution 2026-09.
I can go for it if you want.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor, I move the approval of Resolution 2026-09, which adopts a body-worn camera footage redaction fee policy for the city of Ellensburg.
Second.
Motion second to approve Resolution 2026-09, which adopts a fee for body-worn camera redaction services. Comment or discussion by council? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I too will vote aye, opposed. That motion passes. Item 9C, Resolution 2026-10. This would adopt a fee schedule for public records request, and this is page 326 in the packet.
Good afternoon, good evening, council. Again, Chris Horner, city attorney. You have in front of you Resolution 2026-10, and this would be adopting a fee schedule for public records requests, including the body-worn camera fees that you just approved. State statute allows what we call statutory default fees. It's just amounts in statute that a city can charge for public records requests without performing a exhaustive cost study. And that is what this is. The amounts in this fee schedule are taken from the statutory defaults. Again, the city receives in total about 1,500 requests a year. 1,400 of those come from the police department, and the other 100 roughly or so are for the rest of the city. The only requirement to adopt the statutory default fees is a statement that it's unduly burdensome and impractical for the city to calculate all of the actual costs. That is the option that this resolution includes. The resolution has Appendix A. It's a public records fee schedule. Inspection of records, there's no charge. Any records on the city website, there's no charge. There's a nominal fee of 15 cents per page for black and white copies. I won't read the whole thing. I would say that for more unique requests that involve a lot of technology, like for some GIS information and files, the city does have the ability by statute to charge the actual costs for providing that information to requesters. GIS data for example, is sort of a unique set of data, and to make it easily readable to the public, there needs to be software and staff technological conversion of the data. That's costly. So the city can charge the actual cost for that. This fee schedule includes the body-worn camera recording fee that was just approved. And one particular item of note with this fee schedule is that we set a waiver threshold of $3. So any request that would be less than $3, the city would waive the charge for that. That in part is to make records more accessible for the smaller requests. It's also administratively burdensome to collect small amounts of money from the public. When I did the math, I calculated that $3 to be roughly 20 physical copies of black and white printed copies. It would be 30 pages of scanned records, or it would be 240 electronic files. And so people can get a relatively large number of files electronically without being charged. And with that, I will turn it over to council for any questions.
Council, questions of staff? Hearing none, is there anybody in the audience who wishes to speak on this subject? Anybody online? Okay, we need a motion for Resolution 2026-10.
I move to adopt Resolution 2026-10, which adopts a fee schedule for public records request.
Second.
Motion second to adopt Resolution 2026-10, adopting a fee schedule for public records requests. Discussion?
I have a question. I noticed in this document, it's 10 cents per gigabyte. It's also that for the body-worn cameras, but that wasn't part of the fee.
Correct. The body-worn camera, there can be multiple charges that would apply to a request. So the body-worn camera footage is authorized pursuant to a specific statute that says staff time in reviewing and redacting the body-worn camera footage, and we calculated that at 75 cents a minute.
Okay.
If we have a large number of gigabytes for that recording, there would also potentially be the 10 cent per gigabyte charge.
Okay.
And those would be calculated, communicated to the requester up front, and so that there were no surprises or sticker shock.
All right, thank you.
I have a quick question. Back to the deposit concept, it's not referenced specifically in the resolution. Is it essential that it be, or unless I missed it? I mean, is that just an administrative function? We don't need to state specifically that we
The resolution, or the appendix on page 2 does provide installment, provide for installments as well as a 10% deposit.
Oh, on the back, I see. I missed that, I'm sorry, on 330. Got it, thank you.
Yeah. And it's still in city code, requiring a deposit of up to 10%, so that wasn't removed from city code, and then it's also on Appendix A.
Thank you.
Further
Curious.
discussion?
What's that?
Discussion. We're at that point. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I too will vote aye. Opposed? That motion passes. Resolution 2026-13, this is page 331. This is Ellensburg City Council commitment to community, and there is an opportunity for public comment.
Excellent. So I'll do just a brief introduction. Heidi Barron-Sternaway, City Manager. This item is coming to you after some significant work with staff and a number of council members to develop a resolution. This item was initiated after the March 17th meeting when council adopted the ordinance that amended Chapter 1.88 Councilmember Goodloe requested that the city council make a collective statement to the community. So what you have before you is a resolution that was developed and has been presented to a number of community members and also the AAEE Commission. And it is available for council discussion and potential adoption.
Council questions of staff? Hearing none, is there anybody in the audience who wishes to speak on this issue? Anybody online? Council, we need a motion.
I move to adopt Resolution 2026-13, adopting the Ellensburg City Council's commitment to community.
Second.
Motion second to adopt Resolution 2026-13, which is an Ellensburg City Council commitment to community. Discussion.
I just want to take the time to thank Councilmember Goodloe for her work on this. I know she reached out to a lot of our community members and the AAEE Commission for making this happen. Thanks, Nancy.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I too will vote aye. Opposed? That motion passes. Item 9E, page 334. This is Resolution 2026-14, which is the Ellensburg City Council Strategic Vision for 2026 through 2031. And there will be an opportunity for public comment.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. Good evening, Council. And Mayor Heidi Barrett-Cernaway, City Manager, you have before you a resolution which would adopt the Ellensburg City Council Strategic Vision 2026 through 2031. And if you recall, in February of this year, we held a City Council retreat and we reviewed the basics of priority-based budgeting, which we will be doing this year, and looked at your previously adopted strategic priorities. And the discussion at the time was, we think these are still very relevant, although we can make some tweaks to them. And so this year, typically with the council or with the budget launch, we do a biennial budget in the city of Ellensburg. We typically ask council to set the vision and reset the vision to make sure that you all have an aligned vision, and from that, staff take that vision and develop really actionable objectives that we can include in the budget. And so what we did this last year, previous years, we have done a poll for the community to say what's important to you. This last year, we did a community survey, the very first one, to sort of set the baseline. And that was presented to you at the June 1st study session. And what we heard in the community's voice was very similar responses to your very own priorities. And so you have before you a version that has been updated and tried to refine some of the text and tighten up some of the goals. And so the recommendation would be for council. And again, just before you adopt, remember, these are your priorities. And so this is your vision for the community. And so if there's any adjustments we need to make, we can certainly continue to work on those if we need to do so. So before you, again, you have a proposal for the 2026 to 2031 Council Strategic Vision.
Council, questions of staff?
Just an appreciation for the staff time putting it together based upon everything that we took in. Lot of feedback, and thanks to the community that was part of that process to help us kind of jot down those ideas and get them incorporated here. So
I guess, and this is just a point, one of the things that struck me in the survey was that there was a fairly, I don't know, negative's not the right word, but sort of suggestion of constructive ways that we can interact with the community and take better direction. And I'm not saying that that's not woven in here into this as themes, but it's not obvious. And I don't know if that is an issue for anybody.
I know what you're talking about, and it has to do with diocese, quite frankly, and how we run this particular meeting. Hence why we try to do the outreaches like the coffee with councils and everything like that to provide those breakdowns. But I think that, quite frankly, the workshop that we even did was part of the community ask. So I think more of those would help that perception of that connection with the community and being able to take feedback openly without the format of this.
Okay, and I'll, when we get to the point where that we're considering this, we'll continue that. So no, I appreciate that. I asked the question. Any further questions of staff? Hearing none, anybody in the audience wish to speak to this issue? Mr. Coleman. And we're back under the 3-minute rules on these ones.
Hello, William Coleman, resident of Kittitas. This is Grogu. He's from Dagobah. The strategic vision, I took a look at it, and it shows good leadership, and it shows direction based on actual issues and listening to the community. So I appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else in the audience wish to speak?
Grogu wants to have food at all boards and commission meetings.
Does anybody else wish to speak to this issue? Nobody online?
Mr. Mayor, I would offer a friendly amendment.
Let's get it on the,
Okay.
on the table first. So we need a motion to adopt Resolution 2026-14, and then we can amend it.
I'll make the motion to approve Resolution 2026-14, adopting the proposed 2026-2031 Ellensburg City Council Strategic Vision.
Second?
We have a motion second to adopt Resolution 2026-14, which adopts the strategic vision for 2026 through 31 from the council. Now we're open for discussion.
All right, I would offer a friendly amendment to item number 1 of the 5 pillars. That item would be community safety, civic engagement, and cultural inclusion. Cultural inclusion has been a part of our vision for the last 5 years. I can't,
So hold on until we get a second.
oh, okay.
So
I'll second
state the,
discussion.
okay, the motion specifically again.
Okay, it
We're
would-
adding, you said community safety,
Civic engagement and cultural inclusion. We also need to change that language in the resolution, section 4, wherever it appears in the resolution. But I would say this has been one of our pillars for the last 5 years. I see no reason not to include it in the next 5 years.
Could you repeat what you said for something number 4?
Resolution section number 4, that the language appears again, and so that change would need to be made there.
Is that?
Councilmember Goodloe, is that the previous resolution?
yes,
Section
I
4?
think it's,
2026-14, okay.
I thought it was in this resolution.
yeah, 4 is not dealing with it, it's housing opportunities and neighborhood
Okay,
stability.
then it would be,
Section 1,
section 1, I don't know.
Page 336, I think, is the start of that.
So middle of page 336, you're just
Yes.
saying change the language on 1 again to community safety,
Civic engagement and cultural
civic engagement.
inclusion.
Okay. Any further discussion on the amendment? Does everybody understand that it's going in both places? If it's approved under item number 1, just a different title?
Could you say that again so I can write it down? I didn't quite hear.
Community safety, civic engagement, and cultural inclusion.
Whereas right now it says community safety and engagement.
So the engagement would be removed in that? Did I hear that
No,
correctly?
Civic
Or-
engagement.
Civic
So-
engagement.
Okay, thank you.
There's also, toward the bottom of that page, under number 1, that title would need to be changed. That,
Okay, so there's 3 places, page 336, middle and bottom, and then on the front page.
Okay, so the reference is to
The title
community
of the
safety.
5 pillar.
Understood.
What was the third? I'm sorry. I see the first. Where's the second?
Here, 1, 2, and then whatever the first page that
Talking about
is.
it here.
5 pillars here. Right there.
Oh, in the staff report.
Yep.
Do we have to care about that? Do we care about that? Okay, okay.
Engagement.
Okay. Any further discussion on the amendment? Thank you. Is there anybody in the audience, we've amended it, that wishes to speak? on this issue? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I too will vote aye. Opposed? That motion passes, so we now have an amended resolution for adoption 2026-14.
Mr. Mayor, I move to approve.
We're good. We're already, it's already on the thing. Is there any further discussion?
We did it all in one thing.
Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 I too will vote aye. Opposed? That motion passes. Item 9F, Resolution 2026-15. This is a joint resolution with Kittitas County, which would authorize funding for opioid abatement. Request for proposals. Is that what that is?
Correct. Yes.
There will be an opportunity for public comment, page 341 in the packet.
Again, Chris Horner, City Attorney. Resolution 2026-15 is a joint resolution with Kittitas County to authorize grant funding for opioid abatement. Back in February of this year, council approved $100,000 of city opioid settlement funds to be combined with $300,000 of Kittitas County funds to have a joint grant opportunity regarding opioid abatement programs. That grant cycle started in April of this year. 4 applicants applied for funding. Those are listed in the resolution, and they are the Kittitas County Alano Club, the Kittitas County Health Network, the Kittitas County Jail, and Peers Rising. Together, those 4 applicants requested approximately $308,000. That was well below the available funding, so all of those applicants got full funding for what they asked for. If City Council approves the resolution tonight, tomorrow, the Kittitas County Board of Commissioners are scheduled to also review and approve this resolution.
Council, questions of staff? Hearing none, is there anybody in the audience who wishes to speak to this issue? Nothing online? Council, a motion, please.
Mr. Mayor, move to approve Resolution 2026-15, adopting a joint resolution with Kittitas County authorizing fund for opioid abatement RFPs.
Second.
We have a motion second to adopt Resolution 2026-15, which is a joint resolution with Kittitas County, which would authorize opioid abatement funding per the request for proposals. Discussion.
I have a question for Mr. Horner. If we didn't use all of the money that was available, what happens to what was left? Does it stay in the pot for next year, or?
I do not know the answer to that question specifically. Do you?
So council has authorized, and so we just won't make that transfer to the county for distribution, and we'll have more left for subsequent years.
Okay, thank you.
And these dollars were from the large opioid settlement that was national, right?
Correct, yes.
Further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I too will vote aye. Opposed? That motion passes. Item 10A, page 350, so we finally get to the audience. No offense, Mr. Coleman. Discussion of walkway easements between Catherine Cottages and Radio Road.
All right, surprise, Chris Horner, City Attorney, one more time. At a previous council meeting, we had a discussion of Catherine Park and affordable housing at that location, and there was discussion about some walkways and easements between the Catherine Park property and Radio Road. Council asked staff to bring this back for further council discussion. So staff did a bit of a deeper dive into the question of these easements and what can be done about it. Most of the discussion at the previous council meeting was on a 5-foot wide walking easement that was located on the east side of Lot 1. So that easement was created by deed between the owner of Lot 1 at the time and the city of Ellensburg, where the owner of Lot 1 just granted a deed to the city of Ellensburg for that walkway easement. But in further review of the plat creating those lots specified that there was actually also a 10-foot wide walkway and irrigation easement on the west side of Lot 1, and another 10-foot easement between lots 6 and 7. So as we sit here today, there's 3 easements currently in existence. The situation is a little bit muddied by the fact that the city of Ellensburg signed deeds for those 2 10-foot walkways back to the property owners, but the plat was never altered. So without getting too far into the weeds, we've got 2 categories of easements. We have the 5-foot easement that was created by deed, and then we have the 2 10-foot easements that were created by the plat. There is no specific statutory mechanism for vacating the 5-foot easement, but staff's recommendation, if council was interested, the path to vacate that easement would be to follow the general process for a street vacation that's located under Chapter 3579 RCW. The general process for that would be the city receives a petition for the easement vacation. If we did receive that petition, the city council would set a resolution scheduling a public hearing. The city would hold a public hearing. Assuming council decided to vacate that 5-foot easement, there would be an ordinance vacating the easement, and that ordinance would get recorded by the city clerk with the county auditor. That would be to vacate the 5-foot easement. The 2 10-foot easements, because they are on the plat, would follow the city code for plat alteration, and that's located at Ellensburg City Code 15.260.11 subsection C, and that would again be an application signed by the property owners. The last thing I would say about the 10-foot easements is that since the city signed the deed granting those easements back to the property owners, it's possible that the city as a municipal corporation couldn't assert an interest in those easements anymore. But since the plat language sort of gives the public a right to those easements, some member of the public hypothetically in the future could try to assert use of those 10-foot easements. So it's sort of a nuanced conversation, and I will turn it back to council for any further questions.
Questions of staff?
So if we were to forego all 3, I just want to go to someone else. Let me reframe my thought here before I ask that question.
So, and let's get our questions from staff out of the way so we don't bleed that into the discussion too. So if you guys have questions for staff, let's do that now. Go ahead.
Quick question on the first bullet. City receives a petition. In the event that there were no petitions submitted, does the city have the ability to sort of self-select?
Yes.
Okay.
For the 5-foot easement. For the 10-foot easements, that's a separate
Understood.
process.
So should we be approaching this as 3 different motions then?
No.
Just one for all 3?
Assuming we don't want to select, assuming we don't want to do something different with the 3.
I think it's the 5-foot easement that we're really dealing with mostly.
That was the original.
So,
And I would clarify, the 10-foot easements, the city already granted away its interest in those easements. So there's, as a municipal corporation, our interest is done for the 10-foot easements.
Okay. All right. So I would think that our interest would be to doing the same thing with the 5-foot easement. That's not a question.
But if I heard you correctly, we probably need to do something about the 10-foot so that in the future, a member of the public couldn't claim that. Is that correct?
That would be a question for the property owners themselves to answer, because the city granted away its interest in the 10-foot easements. And how the plat alteration process may or may not impact the property rights of those property owners is a question for the property owners themselves to decide, rather than the city itself to take the initiative and make those decisions. And our city code doesn't give city council the option of initiating the plat alteration process itself.
Could I ask a follow-up to that? On those, the easements that the city has given up our rights to. So if the Catherine Park housing project is developed, even though the city has no interest in those 10-foot easements, is there any remaining public access right to that parcel from the north through those easements? It's not involving the city, but I mean, as if the developer of the housing project is looking at that, are they going to potentially have to be preserving access, whether it's exercised or not, or can they put a fence up on the property line and say, no, this is not intended for throughput between, Radio Hill, the adjacent street to the north and then down? I mean, it's maybe not our issue, but I'm just.
Yeah, it wasn't our issue. I didn't spend a lot of time considering that. My understanding is the 10-foot easements aren't currently being utilized. There may be some obstacles and hurdles that someone would need to go through to exercise those in the future, and perhaps there's not even a path to do so. The extent of my review was more of looking at the plat and thinking nobody has ever changed the plat language, so technically they're still on the plat. And that was about as far as I got in my review, and noting that there is a path to altering the plat if the property owners were so interested.
And if you all recall, at the discussion when we were talking about the Catherine Cottages project was really about the 5-foot easement and whether or not to do something with that.
Further questions of staff before we hear from the public? Anybody in the audience wish to speak? Again, just introduce yourself, who you're speaking for. Thank you.
Dale McPherson, 1306 Radio Road. I'm speaking for myself and my wife. I own Lot 1. The city's 5-foot easement is my neighbor. Has been for 40 years. I've lived there for 40 years. And the city has been a poor neighbor. And you could drive by and look at it right now. That 5-foot easement is a weed bed. Across the back of my property on the south side, Catherine Park, I have thistles right up against my fence, 5 feet high. All these weeds come into my yard, into my garden. This is the way it's been forever. Now, about 2 weeks before rodeo, they'll cut those down. So, also concerned about foot traffic through there once this development's done. I mean, that's right next to me. That is right next to me. And I really don't need a highway going right next to my yard. Between me and Liz, actually. But so, I don't know if you all remember, but 2 weeks ago when Stephanie spoke, she said that Habitat for Humanity has nothing to do with that easement. That's not part of Catherine May. So the question was, who's going to take care of it? Habitat for Humanity isn't. Well, that leaves the city. And in 40 years, the city hasn't. That'll do. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else wish to speak on this issue? So I want to ask a follow-up question. Because there's an easement, the property owner still owns the property. The city just has a right of access, or does the city own the property?
The city just owns the easement, not like the ownership of the land. It's just a right to use it.
Transit the land, not the land itself?
Correct.
Okay, thank you. Council, any further questions or questions of the public before we begin discussing? So I guess I'm going to start off. I would like to see us divest ourselves of unnecessary easements, and given the fact that the 10-acre parcels don't really present an issue and we can't initiate an action, leave that to the property owners to initiate the action. I'm not interested in spending a lot of city money, taxpayer money, on facilitating this process, but I think there's a little bit of liability attached to it, and I appreciate the homeowners' issue. So we're not making any final decisions, but that's sort of my direction is let's prepare to vacate the easement and let the property owner take care of the property because it's their property.
I'd agree with that, and I guess the only question is whether the property owner initiates the petition or the city does, and that could be determined through conversations with staff.
I also support the direction. I don't think we need to hang on to it.
Do you have enough general consensus direction?
Yes, and so what I'm hearing is we would initiate and work with the property owners to determine who would do the petition and follow the process for vacation.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we are at item 11A, which is a professional service contract between the City of Ellensburg and Hope Source for transit services. There will be an opportunity for public comment. This is page 363 in the packet.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, council members. Betsy Dunbar, Transit Manager for the City of Ellensburg. I'd like to take just a few moments to provide a brief update of our public transit system over the past few quarters. First, we asked voters to repeal the original 0.2% transit benefit district sales and use tax and replace it with a 0.2% transit tax that does not expire. The ballot measure passed with a strong 65.3% supermajority. Fixed route ridership remains strong throughout 2025 and has carried that momentum into 2026. Last year, we completed 15 ADA bus stop improvements, and we also added 3 new bus shelters, one at Rotary Park, one at Ruby Annam Tannum, and South 4th Street and South 4th and Ruby Street. So the artwork will be going into the 2 bus shelters at 4th and Ruby and Ruby Annam Tannum by the end of this month, and we are still waiting on artwork submissions for Rotary Park. Our operating agreement with Hope Source was set to expire on June 30th of this year. So we also hadn't issued a request for proposals since the original service began back in 2017. So we released the RFP for fixed route services on March 24th and received 2 responsive proposals before the April 2nd deadline. After reviewing the 4 specified criteria and pricing, Hope Source emerged as the successful proposer. The price difference between the 2 bids was a mere $3.07. The announcement of the successful proposers, after that, we began contract negotiations, and we now have a mutually agreed contract, which is in your agenda packet. We also had not issued RFPs for the ADA paratransit and cabulance service since the beginning of those services back in 2018 and 2019. So those RFPs were released the same time as the fixed route RFP. So Hope Source was selected as the successful proposer for the ADA paratransit service. The price difference between the 2 bids was significant. Hope Sources came in $58 lower than per completed trip than the other proposer. Cabulance was awarded to Hope Source as the only proposer. Contract negotiations are now completed, and we have mutual agreed contracts in place for both services. Just for your information, the time frame is 3 years with the option of 3 additional 2-year option terms. And that is my update.
Council, questions of staff? Anybody in the audience wish to speak? Nobody online? Council, we need a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I move for approval of the 3 professional service agreements between the City of Ellensburg and Hope Source for fixed route, ADA paratransit, and Cabulan services as attached or in substantially similar form, and approve the necessary budget adjustments.
Second.
Motion second to approve each of the 3 professional service agreements between the City of Ellensburg, Hope Source for fixed route, ADA paratransit, and Cabulan services as attached or in substantially similar form, and approving the necessary budget adjustments. Discussion?
No, I'd just like to thank everyone who put the time in to negotiate this agreement. And I think having a long-term provider relationship is beneficial to the system. So thank you to everyone.
Okay, thank you.
Any further discussion? Okay, hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I too will vote aye opposed. That motion passes. We're on item 11B, which is the Bonneville Power Administration Provider of Choice, above CHWM election. Don't know what that means, but you're going to tell us, right?
I'll define it for you. Good evening, Mayor, Council, Buddy Stanovich, Energy Services Director. The item before council tonight is a one-time election under Bonneville Power Administration's new provider of choice contract for how Ellensburg will serve its load above its contract high water mark beginning October 2028. The recommended action is to select option A, all tier 2 served at a long-term rate for the city's above contract high water mark load. This election deadline is coming the end of July, and once made, generally will stay in place for the duration of this contract, which runs October 2028 through 2044. There are limited options or opportunities to adjust later if an opportunity arises. Why the city will need a reliable plan to serve its tier 2 or above contract high water mark load. Ellensburg's is 25 average megawatts as its contract high water mark, and its forecasted load is expected to be roughly 6 average megawatts starting in fiscal year 29, and just above 7 average megawatts in fiscal year 2030. This is a big decision. Staff and the Utility Advisory Committee's recommendation centers around the lowest risk option by prioritizing budget predictability, rate stability, and reduced exposure to market spikes. Option A best protects Ellensburg ratepayers for long-term market volatility and provides the most stable path for serving the city's expected above contract high water mark power needs. With that, any questions?
Council, questions of staff?
Buddy, I missed your prediction or your forecast for 2029, I think, or 30, or?
Yeah, so we're expected to be just above 6 average megawatts
Okay.
of our tier 2 need in fiscal year 29,
Okay.
starting October 2028, and then rising to above 7 in 2030.
Any further questions? Anybody in the audience? Online? Council, motion, please.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
Mr. Mayor, move to elect option A, all tier 2 long-term rate option on Exhibit C, purchase obligations of the Bonneville Power Administration Provider of Choice contract to serve above contract high water mark load.
Second?
Okay.
We have a motion second to select option A, tier 2 long-term rate option, included as Exhibit C, for the BPA Provider of Choice contract to serve above contract high water market load. Discussion. Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
I too will vote aye opposed. That motion passes. Item 11C deals with an annexation that is literally right next door, so I will not comment or participate in the process. This one.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor. So we will begin. Is there a script on this, or we just start with the staff report?
Just an item, yep.
Pull up the map here. Good evening, Mayor. Good evening, council members. Chase Peterson, Associate Planner with Community Development. Here tonight to present on a notice of intent to commence annexation, which was received on May 4th, 2026. The proposed annexation area is adjacent to South Locust Street and Seattle Avenue, just south of the Ellensburg High School. The proposed annexation area is here in the light blue. Statute requires council to determine whether it will accept, reject, or geographically modify the proposal, whether it will require simultaneous adoption of zoning for the area proposed to be annexed, and whether it will require assumption of all or part of existing city indebtedness by the area if annexed. If council so moves, the requester will file a petition with staff, which will be forwarded to the county assessor. Once certified by the assessor, staff will schedule public hearings with the planning commission and future city council meetings. Staff believes that this annexation reflects a logical, orderly growth pattern of the southeast region of the Ellensburg urban growth area. Future development of these annexed parcels would be subject to utility connection and conformance with city review standards, including Title 15. The future land use map designation of this area is residential neighborhood, which the comp plan conversion table prescribes residential suburban, residential low, residential medium, residential high, residential office, and commercial neighborhood as compatible zoning designations. So I have a recommended motion. It's a mouthful here, so bear with me. Staff recommends to council that you move to approve the intent to commence annexation proceedings. You set the annexation boundary as shown on the map of Exhibit 3. Direct for the simultaneous adoption of residential medium zoning for parcels 066733, 056733, 916733, 636733, 626733, 936733, 266733, and 116733, and residential suburban zoning for parcel 326733, and require the assumption of all existing city indebtedness by the area to be annexed. Thank you.
Thank you. So I'm out of practice here. Do we want to invite public comment before
Yes.
we have a motion?
No, questions of staff first.
Oh,
then
questions,
public
and then okay. Questions of, council, questions of staff? I hear none, so then we would ask the public if you have any questions or comments on this item.
comment. And this lady signed up.
And we have Ms. Rosenberg. You're not obligated to, but if this is your opportunity. Okay, and there's no time limit on this, is there? Okay,
Usually, she's the petitioner, but usually it's 3 minutes.
okay.
Good evening, Mayor and members of the City Councils. My name is Sang Rosenberg, and I am the owner of the picture showing it, except the 3 parcels that does not belong to me, but feel, want to bring up to your attention, make sure that's what you want. I'm here this evening regarding my notice of intention to annex my properties into the city of Ellensburg with RM multifamily residential zoning. I have been a resident of the city of Ellensburg since 2010 and owned this property about 2 years. During those times, I have been carefully planning its responsible development, and my vision is to develop the property as a quality multifamily residential community, offering much-needed housing for the Ellensburg residents and families, including those connected to the Central Washington University. I am committed to working closely with the city staff and the Planning Commission, and then this council throughout the entire process. I understand the steps involved, and I am prepared to move forward. I'm a little bit nervous. In thoughtful and responsible way. I am respectfully ask that the council agree to move forward with the intent to annex it so that we can begin the formal petition process. Thank you very much for your time and considerations. I am very happy to answer any other questions you may have.
Okay. Council, any questions of Ms. Rosenberg?
I have a question. Do you own
Please
all,
speak up. I can't hear you very well. I have to read your lips.
do you own all of these parcels?
Except the
just-
33 parcels. If you look at my narrative that I wrote in the second page, first or second paragraph, those 3 parcels does not belong to me, but one of them will become an island property, and the 2 other one is in 3 sides will be surrounded by city.
Okay, thank you.
So we left it a paragraph saying, we leave up to you, councils, decide what you would like to proceed with.
Okay, thank you.
Other questions, please?
Right, yeah, this is for council, this is
Yep.
just the notice of intent.
Councilmember Miller, you've got one person online who wants to comment.
Okay, so is it Victoria Thomas? Are you on? You can go ahead.
Yes, hi, Victoria Thomas, city resident, speaking for myself. I live adjacent to this property, and I would like to request that council not commence annexation proceedings for the parcel listed within this item. I live just across Seattle Street from this property and just to the west. My family has lived here for decades, and we've been in the valley for at least 4 generations. I can attest that these properties are home to a great number of wildlife, and there is a creek running through this area. I'm not aware that we received any information that this may be annexed. Maybe that's the next part of this, but anyway, it's potential that we did, but I'm not aware of it. My families and our neighbors enjoy this green space and what it contributes to the health of our community in terms of our personal health and the health of the water, as well as local biology. Please do not commence annexation of this property. I've seen in just my short lifetime many homes built across Willow Street. I remember when that was a big field and somebody in the middle of the night burned the house down, and then there were all of those houses there, which is wonderful. We have wonderful neighbors, but those have gone in. All of the houses that have gone in to the north of us on Seattle Street also used to be a large field, and there was a barn there as well, and now the Habitat for Humanity homes, which is wonderful for people who are going to live there. But it has really impacted the local area and also the wildlife. I'm concerned about increased traffic and its associated safety issues, noise, and pollutants, as well as water contamination in this area. Green spaces contribute to our health, and while I recognize the property owner has rights of their own land, I'm also grateful to property owners who have kept this land in its natural habitat since it was made, and I hope that that can continue. So please consider not commencing the annexation of these properties. Moreover, I'm not sure, and I'm sure that they have, but I hope that the property owners who are not Ms. Rosenberg have been informed that they're part of this, and hopefully they'll speak at some point. Thanks.
Thank you.
I'd like to make a comment on that, please. Just one comment.
So I guess I would just advise, this is notice of annexation. We are not taking any action whatsoever. The decision about development, zoning, and what type of development would be permitted are all subsequent to this conversation. And so understanding the concern again.
Including environmental, SEPA or other environmental, which would be handled later. So if you'd like to comment, I guess.
I do have biology studies on this property.
Okay, that's good.
So I just want to say, that's all.
Thank you. Okay, very good. Okay, council.
So
Are we directing,
we still open up for questions now?
we're gonna make a motion to move forward, or not? I mean, we need a motion.
We do ask questions first.
Well, if we need more discussion, yes, let's do that.
So, question for staff, if you could kind of go through the process, as far as a notice of intent on annexation, kind of communicating with the property owners that are listed here but do not include Mrs. Song.
Sure. So the process starts with this intent to commence annexation. That does not require a noticing. That is what we're doing here tonight. Council would have to approve to start the formal process for annexation. Once that happens, it's a Type 5 permit, which requires, it'll require notice of public application. It'll require a planning commission hearing, and it'll require a further city council hearing. So there will be plenty of public comment opportunity as we go on. As far as the owners who did not initiate this petition, the direct petition method in RCW 35A 14120 just requires that the petition be signed by not less than 60% of value, according to the assessed value from the assessor's office for general taxation on the petition in order for it to be certified. So that's where the other owners being involved with it, they can sign, they would be requested to sign, and ultimately the petitioner needs 60% of the total valuation in order to proceed.
Oh, sorry, more questions?
No, that was really just for kind of public knowledge on how that process works, so. Good.
Other questions for staff? Okay, then we have before us need for a motion to initiate this process or not. Would anyone like to make a motion?
That's here, you about to read?
I was going to, but I didn't want to read all those numbers.
Oh, does someone want to read this? That's what I was thinking. It's like it's a lot.
I will move to approve the intent to commence annexation proceedings, set the annexation boundary as shown on map of Exhibit 3, direct forcing simultaneous adoption of residential medium zoning for parcels 066-733, 056-733, 916-733, 636-733, 626-733, 936-733, 266-733, and 1167-33, and residential suburban RS zoning for parcel 3267-33, and require the assumption of all existing city indebtedness by the area to be annexed.
Second?
Okay, thank you. So we have, I'm sorry. That was great on the numbers. I just even missed one. So we have a motion and a second to approve the intent to commence annexation proceedings, et cetera. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Did you vote aye? Opposed?
Abstain.
Okay, so record that. We have one abstaining.
Thank you. Sorry to drop that on you.
Yeah, well, you know, just.
Okay, public comments are over. Item 12A is the manager's report, page 611.
All right, good evening. Mayor and Council, Heidi Barron-Turnaway, City Manager, and if I can find it, I'm going to share. Let's see. All right.
Oh, yeah.
Let's do a screen share. So what you're going to see is a very brief video. This was our Flag Day salute, and thanks to all of those who participated. We had some great staff participation as well. And I know we have a few folks on council and in the community that don't have Facebook, so that was our first post. And so here we go. So it's just a portion, actually a pretty significant portion, but a portion of those who show up to serve our community every single day. And so, so happy Flag Day to everyone. In the manager's report tonight, just a reminder of a few activities this week. We do have Touch a Truck coming up on Wednesday, and there's Coffee with Council as well. And I believe Mayor and Councilmember Miller are Coffee with Council from 11 to 1, and pretty much an all-day event at Rotary Park. It is free, lots of fun stuff for kiddos, and lots of cool trucks and activities. We will even have our sewer camera out there, so opportunity to check out some technology as well. One of the items I did include is a flyer for our community events calendar. One of the challenges we hear in our community and complaints is, I don't know what's going on at Central. I don't know what's going on in the community. And to create that bridge, we've been working with a new website provider and also Central Washington University and a number of our community event providers to try to create one place where everyone can post events. And so if you want to know what's going on campus, and these are, again, events and activities are available for everyone in the community. That website is live. It's on myellensburg.com, and we are training all of our community event hosters to post. And also, this is technology that actually pulls from the community calendars and things. So we'll have culture and arts events and educational events also for Central Washington University and across our community. So just a one-stop shop. And let's see here, Juneteenth on Friday, offices will be closed, and there is an event downtown at Unity Park. I believe it starts at 4 p.m. In your packet, you can read the rest, but just a reminder, I guess one other mention, we do have the aquatics survey. The idea is to create community priorities and goals as we look at future aquatic renovation and or replacement. And so this is really important, and I understand from our Parks and Recreation Director that we had well over 1,000 completions just in the first few days of the survey. So that is making its rounds. And then finally, I did include a budget calendar. This is the kickoff for our biennial budget. We worked on performance measures training with our staff today. Next week, we are launching. I will be bringing some items to council. As you can see, we have a lot of activities planned. Our goal is to work through a priority-based budgeting process, and that creates some transparency. Also, we'll be looking for a citizen advisory committee to help us walk through that, helping everyone understand the choices that we make and need to make when we're dealing with our city budget and the service levels we have in our community. So more on that, and then just a reminder, we do have an executive session scheduled for tonight, and 10 minutes, no decision after.
Council questions of the city manager? Council reports, Councilmember Thompson.
Yeah, I got two quick ones. First, my 3-year-old is ecstatic for Touch a Truck, so we're going to be there for sure. Second, earlier today I spoke with Dr. Jillian Zuckerman about the opioid treatment trailer, and it was really good to get firsthand information about how it's going. Seems to be going very well right now. It's one that I'm going to keep following up because I've been asked a lot of questions about it from the community. But so far it seems to be doing its job and doing so in a very responsible way. So I'm glad that we've got that resource now. Thanks.
Councilmember Palmer.
Most of my meetings are upcoming, but I will say that both Nancy Lilquist and I were part of a unusually popular Coffee with Council. Appreciate city staff trying to put more of our coffee councils where people were at. And so when we were at Unity Park during First Art Walk, it was a great time. We had over 40 people come up to us. So it was, most amount of people that we've ever engaged with at a Coffee with Council. And so I know there's another one at Touch a Truck, so that'll be awesome. expect a lot of visitors for that. So that's a great modification as far as getting out there in the community and being able to available to residents to ask questions about their community.
Awesome.
So yeah.
Councilmember Miller?
Just a handful of things. So attended the groundbreaking for the Pathways Project, Hope Sources Project, a couple of weeks ago, and that was well attended. And it's an impressive site when you actually get on site and see what they're going to do with it. Unfortunately, the next day I missed the Habitat groundbreaking over on Willow, but congratulations to Habitat for Humanity on that project. Then I was in the picture at the drone flyover at City Hall. I was waving a flag, so that was a highlight of my day on the 9th. And then attended the Planning Commission meeting last week, and they were doing a deep dive into the environmental and climate chapter for the comp plan. So they're really earning their pay over there at the Planning Commission, and staff too, because they have to present. That's all.
Good.
Yes, three of my 4 meetings were last week. The AAEE Commission, Parks and Rec, and the Library Boards. My first Library Board meeting, and I have to say it certainly lived up to the hype in terms of the food that was provided for that meeting. But I enjoyed that, and I'm looking forward to more of those meetings and getting to know some of the board members. We did have a special executive session of COG last week, working on some issues with the hiring of the new executive director for the development, Kittitas County Development Director. And then we'll have another meeting this week to get an update on that discussion. Thank you for a reminder of June 19th celebration. And I just want to give a shout out to Councilmember Palmer for his leadership on the Juneteenth celebration coming up this week. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Councilmember Beauchamp?
Okay, so KitCom, I always defer to Rich on the real technical stuff, but we are doing fantastic on staffing, which is the main thing. A big, huge shout out there. LTAC, not much going on. I just super excited to see some of the new garbage cans going up. They are phenomenal, and please don't believe everything you read online. And then arts, I had a major tech issue, total user problem. So I missed that meeting, unfortunately. But kind of in hand-in-hand with LTAC and arts is this weekend downtown, get downtown. On Saturday, there's the car show, there's the farmer's market, there's the Dachshunds and Friends on parade. It's going to be a crazy fun weekend downtown, the whole core down there. And then the last weekend, so next weekend, is the big mural festival in the Phoenix Alley there between Pearl and Pine and 4th and 5th. That alley, that's going to be a really, really cool. It's like live art murals going up in the alley. It's going to be a really neat project. And then I also, along with David, was able to attend the groundbreaking for the Pathways Project. And between our housing and Hope Source, they have a lot to be proud of. That's going to be an amazing project. And it was really cool to meet the developers that are going to be working on it. And so I'm really excited about that. So that's all I got.
So just a quick update on COG. I think they've actually now approved everything. Even the commissioners have approved it. So we will have an executive director at the next meeting. So they negotiated a salary and everything. So development of disabilities, they're still working on their strategic planning. EMS meeting got delayed till tomorrow. Just as an FYI, there was a partial 911 disruption. Some of you may have received some phone calls, and then subsequently just basically saying that the location software nationwide wasn't working very well, and that causes a routing issue for 911 calls at the state 911 office. A lot of people decided that was the reason to call 911.
Oh, geez.
Then when they sent out the notice saying that the 911 software was all back up and running. The issue had been resolved in the United States. A lot of people chose to call 911. So if you're a subscriber to Everbridge, please read the directions on how to work it. So we got a lot of calls. And I think that's it. We're going to go into executive session. You said 10 minutes?
And Mayor, you were going to ask if anyone wanted to do the
July
intro
4th?
for July 4th.
Yeah, so my only issue, July 4th, there's an opportunity to speak at Unity Park prior to the city event, and I'm happy to do that as mayor. My only issue is I'm going to be on call for incident management team deployment, and the way things are going, I probably won't be here. So, July 4th.
So on a Saturday.
So I just need a backup, and I'll let you know.
Nancy Lilquist?
Okay, we voted Nancy off the island. Sucks to be gone. All right, so Nancy will take me my backup. Okay, and you need 10 minutes? No action. The RCW is cited in the agenda, and we're talking about litigation or potential litigation. No action except adjournment when we're done.
Some semblance of assurance from the city manager that we will never have that size of a packet.
She's just going to use a smaller font. I can get rid of 12 pages by using number 4 font. That was a lot of resolutions.
Let Ryan sit in there for Delano, and we'll have a quorum. Hey, we're 1, 2,